Tua's comments after the 29-27 loss to the Chargers land like an indictment because they come from the guy whose job it is to set the tone. He didn't talk in vague leadership speak. He said teammates are showing up late or skipping player-only meetings, and he asked whether those meetings should even be mandatory. That's not locker room whispering. That's your franchise quarterback naming specific cultural problems out loud. Reuters. The immediate context makes the criticism sting. Miami coughed up a late lead, and Tua threw 3 interceptions, including a brutal desperation pick as time expired that sealed the loss, while the stadium booed. That combination of self-inflicted errors and public scorn makes any call for accountability feel urgent rather than petty. When your QB is admitting he's not only pressing on the field but also policing the room off it, the message is clear. This team is fraying at the seams. Reuters' Mike McDaniel's public response was careful and defensive in equal measure. He reminded reporters that player-led meetings are extra and that the staff has been holding players accountable to his standards, while also acknowledging Tua intended to be direct on specific issues. That framing protects the coaching staff's authority, but also implicitly validates Tua's point. The head coach admitting something was on Tua's mind changes this from a petty spat to a legitimate leadership concern. PFSN. This is a classic leadership crisis layered on top of on-field underperformance. There are 3 practical failure points to watch: attention to detail, buy-in from secondary leaders, and accountability mechanisms. Attention to detail covers the little things Tua named: meetings, punctuality, preparation habits, which compound into larger game day mistakes. Buy-in asks whether other veterans, not just Tua, are enforcing standards. And accountability mechanisms are whether coaches will let peer-to-peer enforcement stand or formalize mandates that remove player ownership. Right now, the team needs all 3. No single meeting will fix what's leaking. The big lead. Why this matters strategically. Miami's margin for error is microscopic. At 1 to 5, they can't afford culture slippage to become a recurring theme. Self-inflicted turnovers, lapses in situational execution, and a locker room where meetings aren't treated as sacred create a feedback loop. Losses erode trust, which increases noise, which leads to more mistakes. Tua's airing the issue publicly could be the whistle that galvanizes the room or the spark that widens a rift, depending on how leadership follows up. Yahoo Tetao, what should the Dolphins actually do? First, translate Tua's concern into a short-term action plan with visible consequences. Tighten attendance policies for player-led sessions, assign veteran captains clear enforcement duties, and roll out an accountability matrix that's public inside the building. Second, address the technical side that turned turnovers into losses. Simplify late-game scripts, shorten reads to combat pressure, and protect the QB with schematic tweaks. Third, reset messaging. Tua needs vocal support from other trusted veterans and a public demonstration that the entire locker room agrees on standards, not just tweets and sound bites, but visible behavior in practice and meetings. athlonsports.com. There's also a human element too often. Tua is both leader and lightning rod. He owns his mistakes publicly, which gives him credibility when he calls out others, but it also burns social capital when the team keeps losing. The smartest outcome is one where his candidness is rewarded. Quick, surgical corrections that show he wasn't whining but genuinely trying to save a season. The worst outcome is silence from other leaders and symbolic fixes that don't change behavior. That will only amplify the narrative that this team is unraveling. MiamiHerald.com. Bottom line, this is bigger than a missed field goal or a late pick six. It's a test of organizational discipline at a precarious moment. Tua's call for accountability was blunt and public. Now Miami's coaches and veteran voices must either back him up with real, sustained changes or let the season descend into more of the same. The clock is already ticking. Reuters.